Hey guys, it's Pam and Isabel and Ridley Ann from 44 Marketplace, and we are live tonight doing what I told you we are going to do. We are going to do some blending and shading on this cute little nightstand. It is a Bassett nightstand that I've already sprayed the base coat on, which the base coat is driftwood. So this is the front of it. It was not in good shape. And this is the sister piece that is already base coated driftwood, not drop cloth. There are the pretty drawers that go in the sister piece. They are all base coated. Hey Dee! And Isabel wants to say hello. Say hey, Busy. Ridley Ann, say hey. I always have my assistants with me. All right, guys. So this is the front of it. Today, while I was running the store, I already messed with one side of it. This is kind of the feel that I want the nightstand to have. It's kind of a blended. I know a lot of people like to leave the void in the middle, but that's just not my style. I don't like to do what everybody else does. So this is my blended and shaded piece. And now we're going to get to have fun here on the front. See all of these little details? Hey, Allison says, hey, babies. So now we're going to mess around with this front. And you can see it's got a great inset. So we're going to go from there and see what happens. All right, I'm going to flip you around. I hope. All right, don't look at me. All right, we got to find our center here. I got to get you on the tripod. Don't get drunk on me. There's a lot of lives going on tonight. I think Cindy is still on with Art Shattered, but she should be just about finished, and I think they're live on the Dixie Belle site. All right. I'm hoping that the light will be what we want it to be so you guys can see what we're doing. I may let you down just a hair so that you can see a little bit more of what I got going on here. All right. So these are the front of our drawers, and we just want them to have more of a blended kind of finish. So that's what we're going to go for, okay? Hang on, we're going to go down just a little more. Now, you should be able to see most of the drawers, and I've already started kind of tampering with the side as I showed you so that you can kind of get an idea of what we're going to do. All right, so I'm going to back it up a little so maybe you can see. All right, so you know what tools I like to use. I use the mister bottle. Hey, Diane. Hey, Sally. I like to use the mister bottle when I'm doing it. And, of course, I always use my trusty dog food tray because I do some of my blending on the piece and some of my blending I don't do on the piece. Tonight, what we're going to use is, I've already base coated it in driftwood. We're going to use Dixie Belle's Hurricane Gray for the darker edges that I'm going to be doing. And then we're also going to use Dixie Belle's Manatee Gray, and we're going to use some fluff because I want a little bit of light kind of in the front. But I do want to bring out some of the details with the dark, so we'll see how it goes. All right, and then we're going to highlight what we want to with our wax, our grunge gray wax. All right, now typically when I start, I like to have a little bit of a wet surface. So I just do a little light mist. And even though I don't have paint on my brush yet, I like to kind of spread my water around so that it kind of gets it ready for what I'm about to start doing. All right, and it gets my brush damp, so I'm ready. Okay, so I get my paint on my brush. And we're going to start kind of up in the corners because that's where I want a little bit of the dark is on the edges. And don't worry if you get too much in the first couple of passes because you're going to mellow it out anyway. I think a lot of people get kind of stressed out when they first start and they get a lot on there and they're like, oh, too much, too much. Okay, so add a little bit more water. It'll be fine. If it's too much, and you can see how much darker that is on the sides and the edges, no biggie. We're not worried about it because we've still got a lot of blending to do to get to where we want to go with it anyway. If you start feeling like it's too much, give it a little squirt of water. Move it around a little, okay? All right. Once we've kind of got our outer boundaries, for lack of a better word, we're going to, I want just a little bit more up there. Once we've got our outer boundaries, then we're going to come in with the manatee, okay? The manatee is very light, but it's not as light as the driftwood, and it has a little bit different color. I don't know if you guys have done the manatee yet with the driftwood, but it's kind of like a cool and a warm. And when I do it, I really like to have some cool and warm and light and dark. I mean, when I'm blending, that's what I'm really going for, is a blend. I mean, I don't want it all cool. I don't want it all warm. I don't want it all light. I don't want it all dark. All right, I want a little bit more light. Hang on, I got a bristle coming out. All right. Now we're going to put just a little bit more in there. And now I'm going to come in at the corners. I'm going to come in at the corners so that you can see. Because I am going to do a little bit more when we get to I want to go ahead and start setting up my light in the center. Okay, now the center, this is kind of where we're going to have the majority of our light, is in the very, very center of our decoration. Because this is already kind of set up for you by the way this piece is laid out. So you've got your light here. And sometimes if you dry brush a little, you can kind of set the tone for what you're doing. A lot of times I like to set the tone by just dry brushing a little bit of it on there, and then I build from there. You can either build out or build in, whichever way works best for you. And then no matter where you start, odds are you're still going to be building either way, okay? Because if you start on the outside and come in, you're probably still going to have to build, okay? If you start on the inside and go out, you're still going to build both sides. So just know that it's probably going to be, whoop, need more water. And you just kind of want to bring it in. Like I say, if you notice that it's not doing what you want it to do, remember, water is your best friend. The mister is going to work great for you, okay? We're trying to build some drama up on the front of this. And you see, we're kind of building a little bit of the dark in right now so that it can give us the drama that we're looking for with the center, because we want this beautiful decoration to be our focal point. And to do that, we need to have a little bit of help. All right. Can you see how we did that? I don't know if you guys can see as well as I'd like for you to, but can you see how we've got dark around the edges and we've got the lighter in the center? And we're going to put some dark hardware. Hey, Central Florida, how are you? We're going to have this dark on here, but now, even though we've got the dark, that doesn't mean I'll necessarily leave every bit of the dark, because we may want to mellow it out a little. If you remember how I showed you the sides at the beginning, we don't want it to be just a cloud in the front. We want it to kind of be blended. So you can see that the way we've got this front set up, we're ready for, we've got the dark and we've got the light, and when we put our dark hardware in the center, that light is really going to set it off. So right now we're going to leave this top drawer alone for a couple of minutes, and we're going to go to the bottom drawer and make sure we get it the way we want it, and we'll go from there, okay? If you can't see, if you swipe to the right or left, I don't ever remember which one it is, you can get rid of the comments and see a little better. Okay, now we're going to do the same thing that we did before. We're going to do a little bit of dry brushing and set up our light tone in the middle. You can do it however you want to. You may want your brush a little wet. You may not. It's totally up to you. Whatever way works best for you. You just want to go ahead and get your light tone set up in the center and build out. Up on the upper one, we built in. We started on the outside edge and we built in. This one, we're going to start on the inside edge and build out because I want you to see it's just as easy to do either way. And again, if you'll notice, we are using our decoration as our parameters because that way we can make sure we highlight our assets that we've got, so to speak. Don't stress if you get a little white spot or something like I did because we're going to put more water on it and we're going to mellow that out a little bit. There we go. All right. Now we're going to go out, and remember our next color is Manatee Gray, Dixie Belle's Manatee Gray, and we're going to start wiping that manatee in. And remember, manatee is pretty light, but it's a little cooler than our driftwood. To me, driftwood is a little warmer than the manatee is. But we want warm and cool and everything else. You know, we want it to all kind of flow. Now we're going to go to our outside edge. We want to make sure we've got some water on there so that we can build. All right? And we're using our Hurricane Gray to build in our outside edge. And like I say, if you go heavy in the beginning, don't stress about it. We're going to pull it in. We're going to move it around. That's what blending is about, is pulling it in and moving it around and getting it where you want it to be. If you get runs like you can see on mine, again, no stress. We got a lot of work to do before this little doll is going to be finished up. So we got plenty of time to move drips and runs and colors around because you just want it to be very well done. And we still have to add our wax. Once we get this done, we've still got to add some wax to it. So we've still got a lot of blending yet to do. So no need for stress. This is supposed to be relaxing. All right, now can you see how we've blended most of our face on the outside? We started with Hurricane Gray on the outside. And we have kind of blended it into the inside. And then there is where we've got our manatee. And we've got our manatee building in so that our very center is a little bit of our fluff showing. We want it to be not too fluffy, but we want it to have a light spot. A little shine shimmer there, you know? Like, you know how when you're contouring your makeup? To me, that's what I would equate this to. We are contouring our little piece right here. If you notice that you've left some paint somewhere that you didn't mean to or something, spritz a little water on it. It moves. Nothing to stress about. And just because you're blending doesn't mean you can't dry brush and everything else. What we're doing is a very easy thing to do, but you want to incorporate all of your talents with it. If dry brushing is your thing, then let's do a little bit of blending and then get your dry brush on, you know? All right. Now, how does that look? Can you see that we've got that little bit of light in the center? It's just a little bit lighter than the rest of it. All right, so now we've got our front two panels done, and it was just that quick and easy. And you can do these dividers whichever way you would rather. Some people want these dividers to be part of the show. They want them to be really, really dark, and other people want them to be light and highlighted like the center portion. I say whatever works for you, that's the way I would go with it. But typically I like mine to blend more because I'm going to put some nice dark hardware, probably in the form of something fairly close to our Hurricane Gray. So so that it really sets it off well. And I probably should leave well enough alone, but I want a little bit more of this dark right over here. Do you ever do that? Do you ever just keep messing with something until you mess it up and then you think, dang, should have stopped at that last step? I do that a lot. Does anybody have questions so far? All right. Well, we're going to keep going. If you have questions, I'll try to look. See, that's what I'm talking about. Leave well enough alone. But that's not me. I don't leave well enough alone, ever. All right. So we're going to put a little light since I got that one a little dark. There we go. Blend it right back out. All right. So now we've got our light in the center, which is what we were going for. And we've got our side blended. So now we're going to work on this little bottom piece down here. I don't know if you guys can see it, but we've got a little decoration down here. And for that decoration, I want it similar to the drawers, but I want it more like the sides rather than the little halo effect that we gave the drawers. I want it to be more of a blended blend like we gave the sides. If you came in late, you may not have seen the first side that I did, but it really turned out well. And I did that while I was working at the store today. But we just want a little bit of the dark because, you know, it is kind of like when you contour your makeup. I don't. You can tell that by looking at me. But from the videos that I've watched of these people, they are really, some of them are really awesome at this. And that's what I was going to say. It's got that same feel. You're adding highlights and lowlights and doing things to enhance certain features. And this piece has so much detail that I don't know that you can get the full feel watching where you are, because it seems like it isn't showing as much contrast as I would like for it to. I don't know why. But we're still going to keep going forward. And if you guys see something, let me know. But now it really adds another element when you start adding your wax. Sorry, my brain went numb. A lot of the time it does that. Okay, can you see? Well, all right, can you see what I'm talking about? Can you see how now we've got that kind of blended? But I want to put just a touch of light down there in the center. All right, can you tell where we put the little highlight down there? And now we're going to blend just a little bit of the dark over the top of it. Okay, so now we've got the whole front of this piece blended. And you can see, like I say, we kind of did the halo effect. And I think our top drawer is probably dry enough. Now we're going to mess around with some wax. Okay, you guys know the way that I like to do my wax. I really like for it to have kind of a worn feel. Always have to have my little cardboard that I like to mellow it out on. And I love our grunge gray wax. I don't know if you've tried our grunge gray wax, but I am totally addicted to it. And when I first start putting it on, I go a little heavy. So I'm going to go ahead and tell you, you're probably having a stroke about now, like, oh my heavens, what is she doing? But I like to make sure that I get a good start for what I'm wanting it to look like. And I don't mind blending it in. Even if I have to take just a little bit of a different color wax to blend it the way I want it, I don't have any problem doing that. So we have to start like this, and then we blend from there. All right. You want to just make sure you don't end up with a line, okay? A lot of people when you look at their waxed pieces, you can tell exactly what they applied it with, and you can tell exactly where they put it. You don't really want that when you're applying wax to some of your details. And I know some people will say, oh, you should have waited longer, whatever. I'm impatient. I do whatever I want to, whenever I want to, and I don't really care what all the rules are. We are going to highlight our piece a little bit because we want to make sure that these details really, really shine, okay? If you're working on a piece like this, you want to have a lot of different style artist brushes because they will make it so that you can really get into your grooves and everything like that. And I know people will tell you, oh, well, I do it this way. Well, I do it that way. Fabulous. Do it that way. I'm kind of old school about it. I like to do it my way. And whatever way everybody else does it is fine too. Everybody's different and they have their own way of doing things. Do you hear my dog snoring in the background? That tells you how exciting a demonstrator I am, right? She is super excited to be here helping so that her snoring is overshadowing what we're doing, right? All right, now you can do your drawer in a heavy wax like this, or you could take this outline and you could paint it. You could do the, it would be beautiful if you wanted to take the Hurricane Gray and paint it in these lines. It would be gorgeous. I really like the wax because I don't want it to look like it's painted. I don't want it to be stark because I'm going to let the wax sit a little bit and then I'm going to wipe away what I don't want. I want it to be a little more fluid than paint. I want it to have a little bit more of an abstract feel to it so that I can wipe some of it off and it looks like just an afterthought that the piece was highlighted. And I may even go back and do some white wax in the very grooves of the piece because it's just, I love the details. If you guys follow me, you know I'm a sucker for some French Provincial, especially some Bassett French Provincial. And this piece was just calling my name. And it needed some repairs, so I got some repairs done to it. And it's fabulous. It will be in the store in the next couple of days. As soon as I let this wax cure and I can get me some gator hide on it, it will be in the store and it will be fabulous. All right, so now we've blended and now we've shaded, and like I say, we're going to outline this with some of our dark wax because I just love the way this grunge gray wax does. And if you have an artist brush, it's really not a tedious task. I find it relaxing. It's that and the dog snoring in the background makes for a great night. I'm just that exciting a person, you know? Okay, what kind of brush? Hey, Debbie, what kind of brush am I using? The one that I like to use for blending is a Paint Pixie brush that I sell. And it is fabulous. If you see the way it's made, it's called a French round. It is amazing for getting into the crevices and stuff. And I like to use the Paint Pixie round brush when I'm working on a bigger piece. But this one, it only called for really my round brush to be doing it. So that's pretty much, I just use the French round for most of my blending. I get asked a lot, do I use the same brush for all the colors? Absolutely. I use the same brush for all of my colors when I'm blending because that's the whole point of blending, isn't it? Is to use the same brush so that you get it all together. All right. So I'm not going to hold you guys up and you're not going to have to watch me put wax on this entire thing and listen to my dog snore for the next 30 minutes because She would probably stay here at the store with me and snore all night if I would just stay here and keep working, because she loves to help. You should see her when she gets to get in the car. All right, so now you guys get an idea. This is what it looks like blended. We're going to put a little bit more gray on here. So before I mess with the rest of it, I want you to see. I like to bring my gray wax out a little bit, especially in the corners. Because if it were dirty or aged or something, it would have aged in those corners, you know, because that's where dust and dirt and stuff would naturally collect. So when you're aging something, make sure you age it in the corners, because a lot of people don't. And if you look at pieces, I get a lot of pieces that are older, and that's where it ages. When you are using your wax, make sure you blend it and don't leave it so stark in places, because a lot of times if you look at pieces that people have done, you can see a stark line, so you know exactly how they applied it, where they applied it, and everything like that. And you don't want to see a stark line. You want a blended edge so that it gradually goes in and kind of feathers out. You can use lots of different brushes. Sometimes the best thing to use is just a t-shirt. You know, just a little piece of t-shirt, and it just makes all the difference in the world. And see, now we've got our nice blended piece. We're going to add some of this grunge gray wax. Again, if you have not tried the Dixie Belle grunge gray wax, I'm telling you, I am so addicted to this stuff, and I hate wax. Until Dixie Belle reformulated their wax, I hardly ever used wax. Now, I use it on almost every single piece for some highlights and lowlights, because it's fabulous. I mean, to tell you, it's fabulous. Now I want you to watch the difference and how this drawer looks after I put this grunge gray wax on there. And take it around the edges. Go heavy with it. You can always wipe it back, you know. Go heavy, do your outline. Make sure you get in your corners. Like I said, you want to pull those corners forward. If you were messing around with an old piece of furniture, it would gather in the corners, all right? And while we're waxing, I'm going to get down here on the floor with this piece. We're going to add some down here. I love to add where you would see a shadow. Have you ever looked at photographs and you know exactly where the shadows are going to be? Well, that's when you're highlighting furniture. That's where you should see some shadows as well, you know? When you're highlighting and lowlighting furniture, you need to think about where those shadows would be naturally. Now, you see we've added this. We've got to go in and we've got to blend this some, okay? We don't want it to be left a stark line, and you don't want it to look machined. You want to make sure that it's not even. If it's even, guess what? A machine could have done that. We are talented people, and we are going to make it look like humans did this. Okay, so is it going to be perfectly even all over? Heck no, we don't want it perfectly even all over. All right, now once we've blended it, y'all are going to die in just a minute, but we've got our perfectly blended drawer, and we've still got to highlight all of this. But now we're going to take our wax and we're going to go back and forth across this. You know why I'm doing this? Because I don't want it to look perfectly blended. I want it to look a little bit dirty. The whole point was to get my blend on, and now I'm going to go back in here and I'm going to make this piece have a little bit more of what I'm looking for. I want it to be a little bit dirty. And actually, I think I like the bottom drawer better than I like the top drawer now. I may take that wax back off because I really like the way this bottom drawer came out. So, let's see. Nothing like doing this on a live, is it? Totally having to undo what you just did on the live. If you knew me, this is kind of par for the course, though. I'm a woman. I like to change my mind. Yep, I really like the bottom one better. So I may get all of this off, but I won't make you sit through it. Now, I also want to make sure that this is highlighted. You want to make sure you got your little lines down here and your shadows and everything, because you really want this to have a well loved and used look. I don't know if you can see as well on here as I'd like for you to. The lighting is not perfect, but you can kind of get an idea. Here, I'm going to pull you loose a second. Don't get drunk on me. All right. Can you see how great that bottom one looks as opposed to the top one? See, there's much more definition with the bottom one than there is the top one. So when I say I like it better, I want you to see that. And for those of you who came in late, I want you to see the end that we worked on today. All right, so that is the blended end that we are going for. All right, sorry if you're drunk, my apologies. I just wanted you guys to see where we were coming from. All right, so we are going to go with this because that is more of what I'm looking for. And once I've done my bottom, I'm still going in and I'm going to add a little bit of the highlight and low light because that's what I want on the whole thing. I want that feel all over. And like I say, I'm of the opinion I seriously don't know that you can have too much. Maybe you can, but I really like to have a good mix of my colors and my waxes and my glazes and everything, because Dixie Belle's, all of their products layer so well that it's amazing how great you can make things look using their products. And you don't have to just stick with a glaze or a wax. I mean, I would be so disappointed if I had to say, well, do I want a wax or glaze? I don't have to make that call because I wax and glaze and layer paints and all of the above all the time. And usually while my dog snores. For some reason, she woke up and looked at me, so I guess I'm interrupting her nap tonight. All right. So I don't know if you guys can see this, but it's definitely looking better, except for that faux pas I did earlier. And I've still got to get the rest of that out. All right. Okay, so now we're going to do the same thing that we did to the bottom one. We're going to see if we can kind of raise that up a little. Okay, your thoughts, opinions. Do you like it better now that both of them are dark and light? The bottom one is better, isn't it? That's what I said. So we're going to do a little more work up here and lighten that back up, because it'll just be a matter of sticking a little bit of light wax in there and we'll have that. So now you guys see what we're going for with this piece. And I'm going to do the other side and the top without everybody watching, and with my dog snoring. And if you guys would like to see the finished piece, tune in tomorrow and I will post it. Thank you so much. And if you're interested in my blending classes, I have one coming up the 21st in Byron, and I have one coming up the 28th here at 44 Marketplace. Thanks for watching.